When people hear Pennsylvania, they picture two things: Rocky Balboa running up the art museum steps, and Pittsburgh steelworkers who look like they personally built the country with their bare hands. That's the Pennsylvania everyone knows, the gritty one, the underdog one, the one that gets turned into movies and mythology. But here's what nobody tells you. Pennsylvania is quietly one of the wealthiest states in America. Not Manhattan loud wealthy, not Beverly Hills flashy wealthy, something more dangerous than that. Old, quiet, generational, untouchable. We're talking about towns where the median household income clears $250,000, where the cheapest house on the street still costs more than $1 million, where a billionaire recently spent $15 million quietly buying up an entire village, storefronts, homes, civic buildings, and the locals only found out when a developer showed up at a school auditorium with blueprints. That actually happened. We'll get to it. Today, we're counting down the 10 wealthiest towns in Pennsylvania, starting at number 10 and working our way to the one place that makes everything else on this list look like a starter home. The towns that don't advertise themselves, the ones sitting on generational money for over a century with absolutely no interest in you knowing about it. Number 1 is going to shock you. Stay until the end. Number 10, West Vincent Township. Chester County is the wealthiest county in Pennsylvania. It isn't close. And inside Chester County, West Vincent Township is the kind of wealth that draws the least attention and asks for none of it. No famous buildings, no celebrity residents making headlines, no commercial strips or lifestyle branding. Just rolling horse country in the northern part of the county, large estate lots, preserved open space in every direction, and a median household income of $193,854, with 47.9% of all households earning over $200,000 a year. The minimum lots here are substantial. The township has been disciplined about conservation easements and land trusts, locking parcels into protected status so they cannot be subdivided or developed commercially. The result is a landscape that looks exactly the way serious landowning wealth wants its landscape to look: open fields, horse properties, mature trees, winding country roads with zero commercial interruption. The O&J Roberts School District serves the area and holds strong academic rankings inside Chester County, which, given that Chester County school districts already rank among Pennsylvania's best, means something real. Average commute time for residents, 31 minutes. That number contains an entire worldview. These are people willing to drive half an hour each way specifically to protect the silence surrounding their property. In a real estate market that sells proximity as the ultimate premium, West Vincent sells the opposite: deliberate distance from everything, and people pay generously for it. West Vincent is where the horse money lives when it has absolutely no interest in being identified as horse money. Number 9, Thornbury Township. Thornbury Township ranked 11th among Pennsylvania's wealthiest municipalities in 2023. By 2024, it had already climbed to 10th. Median household income, $193,553, nearly 48% of households earning over $200,000 annually. The direction is clear and not slowing down. This is the Brandywine Valley, the corner of southeastern Pennsylvania made internationally famous by 3 generations of the Wyeth family. Andrew Wyeth's Christina's World was painted not far from here. The Brandywine River Museum of Art anchors the cultural identity of the entire region. Longwood Gardens, one of the most spectacular horticultural estates in North America, over 1,000 acres of cultivated gardens, is minutes away. The Brandywine Battlefield, where George Washington fought the British in 1777, is up the road. This context is not decorative. The Brandywine Valley has attracted serious, lasting wealth for over a century specifically because of this combination: extraordinary preserved natural beauty, deep American historical significance, proximity to Philadelphia, and the kind of landscape that makes people feel they have arrived somewhere permanent. Homes in Thornbury sit on large lots with preserved land views in every direction. New construction at the premium level pushes past $1 million with ease. The buyers are attorneys, executives, physicians, and established families who discuss conservation easements the way other people discuss kitchen renovations.
Thornbury is where people move when they have made enough money that they want the land itself to prove it without having to explain it to anyone. Number 8. Marion Station. Marion Station does not announce itself. It sits quietly on the main line in Lower Marion Township, 5,700 residents, and it crossed the $1 million median home threshold in 2025 with a median sale price of $1.059 million, up nearly 5% from the year before. Mean household income, $288,309. Over 85% of adult residents hold a college degree, and 26% of the population is under 18. That last number matters. It means this is not just established old money aging in place. It is young, high-earning families actively choosing to raise their children here right now. The architecture is what separates Marion Station from every other wealthy suburb in the Philadelphia area. These are not McMansions built in the last 20 years. These are large, original stone homes from the 1920s and 1930s, fieldstone facades, sprawling lawns, trees that have been growing for 100 years. The bones of this neighborhood were built when the people doing the building had real money and real taste, and the properties have been maintained to that standard ever since. The Lower Marion School District, one of the finest public systems in Pennsylvania, serves the area, and the Barnes Foundation, the legendary private art collection assembled by Albert Barnes in the early 1900s, was originally housed right here in Marion. The collection contains more Renoirs and Cézannes than most national museums. The cultural infrastructure of this neighborhood was built with serious money, serious taste, and serious permanence. Marion Station is where people move to give their kids the best public schools in Pennsylvania and stay for 40 years because nothing better ever presents itself.
Number 7. Solebury Township. Solebury Township looks like someone took the English countryside, dropped it along the Delaware River in Bucks County, added 300 years of colonial stone farmhouses, and then quietly started charging near Hampton's prices for the privilege. This is Bucks County at its most expensive, a rural township incorporated in 1702 by English Quakers, with 4 National Historic Landmarks, over 400 homes built before 1850, and an average home sale price of $1.18 million over the last 12 months, up 17% year over year. At the top of the market, a 39-acre estate called Esteburn Farm was recently offered for the first time in 45 years. Original stone farmhouse dating to 1820, historic carriage house, rolling pastures, mature trees surrounding the property on every side. Listed at $5.9 million. In Pennsylvania. The demographic profile here is very specific. Retired executives and senior professionals who spent decades commuting to Manhattan or Philadelphia, who have now landed on multi-acre parcels 90 minutes from the city and do not intend to move again. The New Hope Solebury School District consistently ranks among the best public systems in the state. The Solebury School, a prestigious private boarding and day school, sits on its own 140-acre campus inside the township. And New Hope, right next door, supplies everything Solebury deliberately does not have: the restaurants, the art galleries, the Bucks County Playhouse, the Delaware River energy. Solebury gives you the land and the silence. New Hope gives you the culture when you want it. The Hamptons charges more and gives you traffic on a Friday. Solebury gives you 39 acres and a stone farmhouse from 1820. The math is not complicated. Number 6. Rose Valley. This one needs a moment, because the origin story of Rose Valley is unlike anything else in Pennsylvania. In 1901, an architect named William Lightfoot Price bought 80 acres in Delaware County. He was a committed follower of socialist economics. He wanted to build a utopian arts community, cooperative workshops producing handmade furniture, pottery, and metalwork, where workers and artists would share equally in the profits. He named it the Rose Valley Association. He had wealthy, liberal Philadelphia backers. He was going to demonstrate an alternative to American capitalism.
It collapsed financially within a decade. The workshops could not turn a profit. The cooperative dream dissolved entirely. What remained was an extraordinary collection of arts and crafts architecture on preserved land along Ridley Creek. The artists and intellectuals drawn by Price's original vision stayed. They raised families. Those families became professionals. And over the following century, Rose Valley quietly became one of the wealthiest small boroughs in Pennsylvania. Today, 1,200 residents, less than a square mile of land, over 56% of households earning more than $200,000 per year. Rose Valley tied with Fox Chapel for the highest median income in Pennsylvania in the most recent American Community Survey. The entire borough is listed on the National Register of Historic Places. And sitting inside this borough of 1,200 people is the Hedgerow Theater, the oldest continuously operating repertory theater in the United States, running since 1923, one of America's most historic cultural institutions, inside a neighborhood most of the country has never heard of. William Price failed to build a socialist utopia. He accidentally created one of the richest small boroughs in Pennsylvania. Some failures go better than anyone planned. Number 5. Edgeworth. Edgeworth is a borough of 1,669 people along the Ohio River, 14 miles northwest of Pittsburgh. Century-old oaks shading every street, Victorian mansions behind landscaped hedges, and Sidney Crosby as its most famous current resident. Yes, that Sidney Crosby, greatest hockey player of his generation, 4 Stanley Cups. He chose Edgeworth, and the reason is everything this borough quietly represents: absolute privacy, genuine walkable history, and the kind of neighborhood peace that only a certain level of money can actually purchase. Mean household income? $300,000. Median listing price? Approaching $985,000, with top estate properties pushing past $3 million. The housing stock is almost entirely pre-World War II. Colonial revivals, Tudors, Grand Victorians, all maintained to a standard that feels less like a neighborhood and more like a preserved photograph of American prosperity from 1920. Here is the detail that makes Edgeworth genuinely unlike anything else on this list. Nearly 5% of residents walk to work in a wealthy suburb. That is an extraordinary number. Most affluent communities clock under 1% because everything is too spread out to reach on foot. But Edgeworth has interconnected sidewalks through every block, a private club within walking distance, an elementary school inside the neighborhood, and a layout built around the idea that your feet should actually be enough. Mario Lemieux, Penguins legend and team owner, lived just next door in Sewickley. Pittsburgh Magazine named Edgeworth the best affluent suburb in the metro, twice. Edgeworth is Mayberry if Mayberry had a median income of $300,000 and Sidney Crosby walking the dog on a Tuesday morning like it's nothing. Number 4. Villanova. Villanova is what the Philadelphia Main Line looks like when it decides to be serious. The Main Line is already one of the wealthiest suburban corridors in the Northeast, a chain of affluent towns that grew up along the old Pennsylvania Railroad route west of Philadelphia. Villanova sits at the geographic center of it, and in 2024, it became one of only 2 communities in the entire state where the typical home crossed the $1 million mark. Typical home value? $1.3 million. Median listing price? $1.55 million. To afford the median-priced home here at current mortgage rates, you need a household income of at least $307,100 a year. That is not the luxury tier. That is the midpoint. Median household income? $250,000. Nearly 97% of homes are owner-occupied. Almost no rental inventory exists because people do not leave. One real estate agent described it plainly: you don't move from Villanova unless you're leaving the state. The market data backs that up completely. The area's roots trace to the 1830s, when Pennsylvania Railroad access made these hills desirable for Philadelphia's upper class. Villanova University was founded in 1842 by the Augustinian order, and the combination of institutional prestige and suburban beauty has drawn high earners continuously for nearly 2 centuries. At the extreme top of the market, a 7-bedroom, 9,880 square foot home on Creighton Road is currently listed at $9.9 million. A new development called Lockwood Lane starts above $3 million. One current buyer is shopping with a $5 million budget and cannot find suitable inventory in Villanova with $5 million. Will Smith and Jada Pinkett Smith had a home in nearby Bryn Mawr. Bradley Cooper spent a year at the university. Julius Erving lived here. J.P. Morgan Chase and Deloitte pull 6-figure professionals into the area daily. Villanova is the kind of place where even the neighbors of the extremely wealthy are doing extremely well.
Number 3. Fox Chapel. In 2025, Go Banking Rates analyzed U.S. Census income data for small towns across the entire country. Fox Chapel came back as the richest small town in Pennsylvania and the 3rd richest small town in the United States of America. 3rd, in the country. You have never heard of it. Fox Chapel sits in the wooded hills northeast of Pittsburgh, about 10 miles from downtown. It has 5,246 residents. Median household income, $247,930, more than 3 times the Pennsylvania state average. Nearly 60% of all households earn over $200,000 a year. At the top of the market, a 13,700 square foot 6-bedroom estate sold in 2023 for $6.35 million. A renovated version is back on the market at $7 million, with 2 guest houses and a celebrated architect's signature on every detail. The Fox Chapel Golf Club's Seth Rayner-designed course is one of the most elite private layouts in the state. Oakmont Country Club, which has hosted more U.S. Opens than any course in the country, sits just down the road. And here is what makes Fox Chapel unlike anything else. There is no commercial zoning inside the borough. No restaurants, no coffee shops, no stores of any kind. 100% residential, plus churches, private clubs, and schools. If you live in Fox Chapel and want dinner, you drive out of the borough to get it. The community exists entirely for the people who already belong to it. Outsiders have no reason to come. That is not an oversight. That is a zoning decision made in 1934 and never reversed. Privacy, written into law before your grandparents were born. Number 2, Sewickley Heights. Here is a fact that sounds invented but is completely verified by U.S. Census data. Sewickley Heights Borough has 857 residents, less than 1,000 people, fewer than a single large apartment building in most American cities, and its mean household income is $381,964, the highest of any municipality in all of Pennsylvania. Not per capita, mean household income. More than half of all households in this borough are earning numbers that the vast majority of Americans will never see in their entire working lives. The borough requires a minimum lot size of 5 acres, not as a luxury option, as the legal baseline. There are roughly 355 homes in the entire place, surrounded by 600 acres of preserved borough parkland with equestrian trails and hiking paths. The Allegheny Country Club, Pittsburgh's most prestigious private institution, has been anchored here since 1902, which is precisely the moment this area transformed from farmland into what it is today. Pittsburgh's industrial dynasty families, connected to Carnegie, Mellon, and the Thaws, built their summer estates here in the early 1900s. Some original properties covered hundreds of acres. Many of the grand mansions were demolished in the 1950s, but the land was protected, not subdivided. 5-acre minimums were written into the zoning code permanently. The wealth stayed locked inside the borough. Average home value, $1.7 million. Median sale price, $1.39 million. These numbers are the floor, not the ceiling. Sewickley Heights is the mathematical answer to one question. What does it look like when old Pittsburgh money decides it has absolutely nowhere better to be? Number 1. Gladwine. And here we are, number 1, the town with the most expensive zip code in the entire state of Pennsylvania. The town where a billionaire spent $15 million buying up the village center before anyone noticed.
The town that Bloomberg Businessweek ranked the 6th richest zip code in the entire country. This is Gladwine. It sits 12 miles outside Philadelphia, in a quiet corner of Lower Merion Township. Welsh Quakers settled it in 1682. It stayed farmland for 2 centuries. Then the Pennsylvania Railroad pushed west of Philadelphia in the 1850s, and wealthy Philadelphians discovered these rolling hills along the Schuylkill River as a summer escape. They built estates. Their children inherited them. Their grandchildren never left. The money compounded in place for 150 years. The man who recently bought most of the village center is Jeff Yoss, founder of Susquehanna International Group, one of the largest trading firms on the planet. His business partner, Arthur Danchik, made the Forbes 2025 World's Billionaires list. Both men operate in this corner of Montgomery County. One of them now owns the storefronts, civic buildings, and residential properties that make up the heart of historic Gladwine Village. The residents found out at a packed school auditorium when developers showed up with a redevelopment plan. The numbers are what they are. Zillow average home value $1.49 million. Median listing price in 2024 $2.225 million, according to RealtyHop. Active listings running as high as $8.5 million. To afford the median-priced home here, you need a household income of at least $314,000 a year, and that is just to be considered a qualified buyer for an average property. The Philadelphia Country Club is literally inside the neighborhood. There is one cafe open to the public, one called Homeroom. Past residents include M. Night Shyamalan, Allen Iverson, and Chase Utley. The co-founder of Susquehanna International Group lives here. Pennsylvania's richest man operates a few miles away and recently decided to personally own the village. Gladwine is the zip code that Bloomberg ranked 6th richest in America. The village that a billionaire quietly purchased before anyone could object. The town that has been doing exactly this, sitting on old Philadelphia money, saying nothing, needing nothing, since 1682. It doesn't need your attention. It never has. And that is precisely what makes it number 1.